Alright, I'm about to describe an experience that I think some people can relate to. It all starts when you're watching someone else do something that just seems amazing. Everything they do just seems so inventive and creative, and every development in their craft opens your mind and makes you wonder what else is possible. All of this eventually culminates into a single thought. I want to do that. Now, if this has never happened to you before, don't worry. But one of the times that this happened to me was a couple years ago when I watched Lixian TV's video on breaking down how he made a game in under 24 hours for a game jam. I was enthralled by his process of game making, and from that moment onwards, I knew I had to try and make a game myself. Then, this whole process happened again when I first played Undertale and saw all the craft that Toby Fox had crammed into that delightful game. Then again, when I read the Undertale art book and learned about how the game was actually made. Then again, when I played Deltarune. And again, when I played Hollow Knight. And again when I played Celeste, and again when I played OMORI. And then many times again when I discovered this awesome YouTube channel, That Guy Glenn, who makes videos on the developments of games. And then again when Concerned Ape released a trailer for his new game and started blogging about the development on his website. And oh my god, I swear, each of these posts just injects me with dopamine, yeah! All of this is to say that at this point I am practically bursting with the desire to make a game. The thing is though, I've actually had the tools to do so for a while now. But I've never really been able to commit because of a general lack of time and the need to work on other things that could put me in a more financially stable position, but sadly haven't yet. And that's why I'm making this, to finally lock myself in and say, this is something you wanted to do for a while, now do it. So welcome everybody to Devlog 0 and my new series on trying to make a video game. Today I'm going to lay out all my cards on the table and tell you exactly what to expect from this. The first thing I'll say is that I am not a professional at anything. I've worked with all the fundamental parts of game development, art, music, programming, and design, but I'm pretty amateurish at all of them. Basically, there's going to be a lot of learning and iteration throughout all of this. The second thing is that, to tell the truth, I've had an idea for a game that I've really wanted to pursue for a while. It's not perfect, but no matter how many other ideas I come up with, and I've come up with a lot, I've always felt a strong urge to come back to this one, which tells me that there's a nugget of gold somewhere within it. However, this idea is pretty large in scale, and as many game development instructors will tell you, it's generally better to go with a smaller idea for your first major project. So while I will be pursuing this idea at first, I will be open to any other ideas or smaller ventures that I can use to increase my overall game development experience. And that's definitely something that I want to put right out front for these devlogs. There will be many changes and iterations and cut ideas and design shifts throughout the course of these devlogs. I will work on whatever I feel I need to best develop my skills. And eventually, once I feel like the vlogs are spoiling too much for anyone who might eventually want to play the full game, I will end the series in order to preserve the intended experience of the game. Now by watching this video, you agree to the terms and conditions, blah 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 blah. Now let's get on to the fun part of the video, the idea. So, if you couldn't guess from those several motivational keys I described earlier, there were many games that inspired me, but a major one was Undertale. Thus, you'll probably be seeing a lot of the same RPG elements in my game. In addition to that, however, I also want to see if I can include some of the platforming and exploration elements that were found in Celeste and Hollow Knight, but I'll save my ideas for the core mechanics until another day. In the meantime, let's talk about the main concept for the game. The big centerpiece of the game is the setting, a humongous tree that sits above the clouds with a whole community of people living in it. Sort of a reverse treehouse situation, but on a scale that makes absolutely no physical sense. You play as Doofus. No, I am not joking, that is literally the name I've been using until I come up with a better one. He's not from the tree, and is instead there to— Stop. You know you can't tell them that yet. You're right. He's there to do cool things. Along his journey, he'll meet party members A, B, and C, fight some cool baddies, and climb his way to the top of the tree. So that's the very, very basic structure of the game. I'll save some of the further details until they become more relevant. Now I bet you're asking, isn't it time to actually start working on the game? No. As much as I'd like to do that, I saved this 0th devlog to simply set up the groundwork. That way I could save space in the devlogs to come. That does mean there's still one important thing to do. List the software that I use. It may seem dumb to some, but I know I'm going to get people asking about what software I use every video, because I am one of those people. So I'm just going to list it all here and send anyone back who asked to this reference. The engine I'm going to be using is GameMaker Studio 2. I've heard it's not actually the most powerful tool, but honestly, I really like it. It's easy for me to understand and I can get ideas built in fast. For music, I'll be using FL Studio. This is just my DAW, and there are plenty of other things I could list for my instruments, but you do not want to hear that. For art, I'm going to be going with a pixel art style, and doing so with Azaprite? Whatever it is, Azaprite is just a great and useful tool that's completely geared towards making pixel art. For any additional art, however, I'll be using Clip Studio Paint. It's just pretty good. And finally, for writing, planning, and scheduling, I will be using a notepad? I don't actually know for this one. Anyways, that's my main gear. I should say, though, that you really don't need to buy any fancy equipment to make games. There are plenty of great free resources out there that will work just as well as these. Alright, but that's finally it. Thank you so incredibly much for watching through this video and taking at least that much interest in my ideas. I will see you all again once I actually start making the game.